Hello and welcome to the Red Zone podcast. My name is Nate Cohen, and I am joined by my co-host. I can't beat them for words after last week. Riley Davis, you win. I
You
could
didn't
not
want to
top.
try at
I can't
least?
top last week.
That's insulting.
How is that
Anyways,
insulting?
I don't
That
get a
should be.
single adjective.
Oh, okay. My wonderful, totally not salty. Uh,
I'm not, though.
my wonderful, amazing, incredible, uh, fashionable. Uh,
In my gray pullover.
my sweater is really cool.
I can actually wear this outside now because it's cold. It's great. I love the
Yeah,
cold
same.
weather.
It's great.
I'm going back
Anyway,
to Decatur this weekend. It's supposed to be like 30 degrees.
again,
Yeah, well, because it's my actual fall break.
I was there last weekend because it was my actual fall
Yeah.
break, and it
I
was
was,
awesome. And I got to watch the games
yeah.
with my parents. Got to watch the games with guests, and yeah. Anyway, uh, do we want
We're
to?
changing the order this
Yeah.
podcast because we
So
have a lot to
obviously,
say.
the Red Zone Bowl happened this week. Alabama won in a sloppy game of football. But Riley and I disagree very heavily on how we look at the game and how the game functioned. So we're doing everything normal until we get to the game recaps, and then we're just going straight into Bama, South Carolina. Because, um, yeah,
We have to get it
that
out of the way.
also the game was a doozy, but for
It
like all the
was.
bad reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what'd you get up to this week?
Um, I have one midterm this week, upcoming tomorrow.
Oh God.
Yeah. And then I have fall break. Um, but I went home this past weekend because my dad is going out of the country for when I'm at fall break, and I didn't know that. So I went home to see him before he left.
Do you have a
Um,
car
I do have a car.
at South Carolina? See, I
Yeah,
don't have a
because like
car.
that's how I would get home. Like, cause you would normally probably fly, right?
I fly, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like
I
a
fly
3 hour
now.
drive, 3.5 hour drive. So like that's how I would get home. Whether
Shout
they
out
would
to the
come drive here.
shout out to like the two people who will either hear that or find that reference funny. Did you hear it?
I fly now.
I fly now. They
Oh my
fly
god.
now?
Oh, they fly now.
God, those movies
Anyways.
sucked. They were a
um,
disgrace to Star Wars. I'm not even that big of a Star Wars fan. The sequels?
I'm no, the sequels are terrible.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
what I'm
was
talking about.
more appalled by the I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan.
I'm not that
But
big of a Star Wars fan. I think they legitimately have more misses
does
than hits
guest
at a
know?
Guest does know. They have more
Okay.
misses than hits in their mainline movies, which is insane. Because it's like the three good ones at the beginning, plus Revenge of the Sith. The other two are fine. I'll say so. I'll add one for that. Okay, so fine. They get 5 out of 9. 5 out of 9 of the movies are good. 4.5 out of 9 of the movies are good because I'm not counting one of the sequel movies as
What
like
about Rogue
fully
One?
good. I hated Rogue
Rogue
One.
One.
I'm one of the only people in the world who really didn't like Rogue One. You know
Okay,
what I
so this
really
is your
liked?
opinion.
You know what I really liked? Solo. That movie was fun. That movie was
So
so much
add
better
that
than
to
Rogue
it.
One.
So that's
No, I'm talking about
six.
mainline. Like out of the
Oh,
nine
okay.
main movies, 4.5 of them are good, which is only a 50% conversion rate.
Okay. These are Let's talk about football, shall we?
um, this was
I
a
feel like this is
fun
gonna be a long
week.
ass episode. It was. It was very
It
fun.
was going into the year. I would say during preseason, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it's week 7." This October 12th slate, where at the beginning of it, like 4 or 5 of the matchups were double ranks matchups. Unfortunately, USC decided to lose to Minnesota, so that kind of ruined one of them. But everyone kind of went into this week being like, yeah, this is the week. Like you got USC, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, Tennessee. Like it was a good week.
In my
Um,
opinion, though, I'm still
you know,
gonna this is still slightly below week 2.
I would. Oh, and Red River was this week as well. Yeah, I would say slightly below week two. And would we say it was better than last week? I mean, I'm biased because last week had one of the worst losses I've ever experienced as an Alabama fan. But
Um, I would say yes, just like I feel like there's a lot more that happened this week.
so then we have to
Um,
adjust our rankings, or just give this
we
a
just have to just
9.7.
flip this. What was last week? 9.5 or 9.6?
9.75.
There we go.
Anyway, um, this was a great week, and once again, it was kind of a slower news week. Um, Big talking points were Cam Rising is out for the season after coming back from injury and getting immediately re-injured and is now out for the season. So begs the question, should he play football again? Sure. He'll be an eighth year senior if he comes back next year.
8. Jesus Christ.
So he would have done college twice. Pretty sure Cam Rising's like 25.
We missed you, Stetson Bennett. Glad you're back.
It's like Stetson Bennett
Speaking of
without the.
injuries, I don't watch the NFL
Oh
really,
my
but
God, it's
Aiden
atrocious
Hutchinson,
this year.
Aiden Hutchinson or Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, yeah.
Oh my God,
Don't watch it
that
if you're
man's
squeamish.
leg. Oh, that
The
man's
NFL
leg
in
shouldn't
general
look like that.
has been awful this year with injuries.
Spencer
Like,
Rattler started.
and they got blown
Yeah, they
out.
did. So
Um, yeah, the NFL's been awful with injuries this year. I don't know why, but just everyone's getting injured. Anyway, other news is Hawaii is joining the Mountain West from. See, the thing is, I already thought they were in the Mountain West. Oh wait, no, they are. They're just a full-time member. Uh, yeah, they're a full-time member now. See, I don't know
yeah,
where they were before, but I thought it was the Mountain West, and I guess now they're just like fully in the Mountain West. Anyway, um, other things is one of Boston College's top cornerbacks, Amari Jackson, is out for the year with an ACL injury. Sucks for them, but they've kind of lost all momentum since that Florida State win. And Travis Hunter, despite getting injured in the Kansas State game, is expected to be back. And that's kind of it.
nice.
Rankings. A bunch of people moved to. Can we talk? Can we bless America? God bless America, even.
About
Um,
Army and Navy
Joining the top 25, baby.
with their
Raw.
undefeated.
This is the most
Ooh,
patriotic thing I've seen since we won World War II. Is that
no,
controversial? That's not a bad
I
thing to
don't
say.
know. Is it?
I don't think
I
so.
don't know. I mean, it's not insulting.
No. It's
It's like a
patriotic.
go America.
Army and Navy, okay. I'm so for Army and Navy being ranked because what if they're both undefeated when they play each other?
That'd be exciting. Who
That'd
do
be
they play?
awesome.
Do they play anybody that's like
I think it's Army plays no one, and then they play Notre Dame.
Navy plays Notre Dame as well?
So Army and Navy, I think both the
Play
service.
nobody and then Notre Dame.
Yes,
Oh, Navy crushed the Air Force, but that was 2 weeks ago, right?
raw. Anyway, um, also,
Um,
I mean, I hate to say it, but rank Vandy, you cowards. What? Okay,
yeah,
what has Michigan done that deserves them to be ranked over Vandy?
nothing.
Exactly. So, okay, so here's my fix to college
Vandy's
football.
like kind of scary good this year. and it's
They're
kind of
not scary good, but
they're
like,
scary. It's scary for me when I was supposed to looking for bright spots in our schedule.
um, yeah. Anyway,
Although Oklahoma's no longer ranked, so
yep.
there's that.
It should be Army, Navy, and then like Vandy. That's my thing.
Fair.
Um,
Big movers.
big movers. You want to take over this for a second?
Okay.
I
Well, I was just
unprofessionally
gonna
have
say
to.
the two that are like related to each other. LSU moved up 5, and Ole Miss moved down 9 because well, LSU won. Um, and the other ones are just like it's a bunch of like people moving like up 1 or 2. Um, as for some reason, Indiana moved up 2 in a bye
Okay, we
week.
won the bye week though. We're 7-0. It doesn't say it on ESPN because they're wrong, but we're 7-0.
Okay, because here it does
But
not.
also, okay, we were in a
Does not.
three-way tie for 18th, and one of those teams lost. So that was always going to move us up one. I don't know where the other one came from. Uh, it was from Ole Miss dropping. So okay, Oklahoma and Ole Miss both lost, which is two of the people. Like we were tied for Oklahoma with we were tied in. We
Tied
were
with
tied
Oklahoma for
with
18th.
Oklahoma for 18th, and Ole Miss dropped to 18th. So it makes sense. That's how we raised 2 spots. Thanks for listening to my TED talk. We're winning the national championship.
Okay. Um, and then Tennessee moved down 3 after a weird game with Florida.
They
Um,
won
yeah,
and moved down three, which is funny given they definitely played worse than Alabama did against South Carolina and
but they
Florida's
also won by 6.
and okay in overtime on the that doesn't count, but like against a team that is definitely worse than South Carolina and they played worse than we did. So like I get it, but moving them down 3, and I'm even saying this as an Alabama fan. This is Tennessee hate week right now. Like we are in prime Tennessee hate week hours right now. That was a little harsh moving them down 3 spots for that Florida game. I don't know if I would have done all that.
But yeah, because y'all play them next week.
Oh God, I'm so scared. We're
I
gonna
think
lose
it's
that
harsh
game.
to move them down 3 in that game when y'all didn't budge.
It's because I haven't. Granted, this is a kind of stupid reason, but I think I know why the AP didn't drop us but drop Tennessee. It's because the Georgia win. It's because no matter like what credit we have with the AP, that's why. Like the only reason we only dropped 6 after the Vandy loss is because we beat Georgia. And
Fair.
so if Oregon drops a game they shouldn't have lost, they're gonna have that Ohio State win. And so like it's stupid because Bama definitely should have dropped this week by at least like a spot. But we have that Georgia win, which is great karma with the AP. So that's why they're gonna keep us where we
The
are,
AP
which is
poll will
insane.
AP poll will never not
It's so
confuse me.
stupid. It's
It's
so
very stupid.
arbitrary. Which is like I know my dad's having a if my dad ends up listening to this, he's gonna have a joy listening to us talk about how arbitrary and stupid the AP poll rankings are.
So will mine. Although my dad hates the playoffs.
How? Does he want them to go
He
back to
just like
BCS?
no, he just hates how like they always are concerned with like the few couple teams that always end up in the playoffs. Because he was
Well, that's why you
like
expand 12.
yeah. I guess he'll probably hate it less now. But like he was talking about like like it was a couple years ago that he decided he hated the playoffs was when he was like listening and like Oklahoma was like 0 and 3 or something. And then like they were just talking about how they could get back in the playoffs. And my dad was like, why do we care if they get back in the playoffs if they're like sucking? Um,
Well, I mean that's just kind of ESPN probably being really
yeah.
stupid and being
It's like
like,
Georgia. They always want Georgia in the playoffs. They're always gonna have Texas in the playoffs.
okay,
They'll always
Georgia
want Bama in the playoffs.
Georgia once again played like dog water this week. I mean, okay, offense they played great. Defense, how do you allow 31 points to Mississippi State? They scored only 17 against Toledo.
When I wasn't
Remember
watching that game, I
remember
was
when Georgia's
monitoring.
defense was like the best in the country?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And now they've
And now they're
allowed
winning by
they're averaging since the like Tennessee Tech game when they've actually started playing good teams, they're averaging like 20 something points per game for the other team. And you know who they
31 for
play? You know who
Mississippi
they play
State.
this week? They
No,
play at Texas.
that's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
I was
It's
like,
at Texas, and their defense has been sucking recently, and Texas's offense is rolling.
yeah, because Oklahoma got fucking freaking destroyed. Anyways,
If that isn't an Instagram reel, which by the way,
I'll bleep it.
can we shout out Instagram reel getting over 1,000 views
Oh,
this
I thought you would
week?
be like, can we shout out
Also,
Riley
can we
for
shout out
making that?
Riley for making them? Um, Big fan, liked the editing.
Thank you.
Um, See, like you run the social media, I run the YouTube and stuff like that. Um, it's a mutually beneficial partnership. Also,
Speaking of,
I've been
there's
networking the hell out of this podcast.
you have.
I've been like
Oh,
everyone, I'm like, go listen now.
I kind of just slip it in the conversation. I'm like, my buddy who I run a podcast with.
I'm like, yeah, like me and my best friend, one of my best friends from home, have a college football podcast together. You should totally go listen. And they're
It's in my
like,
Instagram bio.
it's in my Instagram bio too. I will, because, okay, we decided this year that we're actually going to be serious about this and
Yeah.
like try and grow and like, you know, because
Hence the reels.
let's be real. When you look at the analytics, in this season has been
Are they
16
better?
when it goes to plays, it's 16 8 7 9 8 8, which is better than last year, but our peaks last year exceed our peaks this year. So it's like it's what do you want? It's like last year our average was lower than this year, but last year our highs were better than this year. So it's a little odd. And I feel like this year has been our best content. Like
It
we've
has
dialed in,
because
we know
we
how to do it now.
the audio is better. We know more about what we're doing. It's more natural. We also talk on these weird tangents that are not at all about college football.
We're also
Speaking of which, a certain listener did message me about who was hotter, Ryan Reynolds or Hugh
so a certain
Jackman.
listener messaged me as well.
Really?
Was it
The
guest?
same one? No.
Oh, mine was
Dude,
guest.
mine was someone else. I'll tell you after.
Who are
And we
they
had
a
a
fan
very
of? Like college football team.
Carolina.
Oh, someone who I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Guest
um,
said for the by the way, guest said Ryan Reynolds, which is wrong.
so did this person.
What? Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. When you look at Hugh Jackman,
I think
when you
he's
look at
hotter.
Huge Ackman, first of all, Ryan Reynolds doesn't have a name like that.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds,
I mean, I
Huge
will say,
Ackman.
given like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds is cute and he's funny, and that like makes him cute. But the question was like, who's hotter? And it's Hugh
I would
Jackman.
say, I mean, honestly, Hugh Jackman kind of has that like teddy bear cuteness to him. But like
He's also Wolverine, guys. Come on,
he also said the F word a lot and said bub,
bub.
bub.
He's got that spiky hair. The Wolverine, like,
Woo. Anyway, what were we even talking about before we went on this
I
tangent?
don't know. I think we
Oh,
were plugging
podcast
the
and how we're trying
Instagram
to
reels.
we're trying
The
yeah,
Instagram
plugging the
reels.
Instagram reels
Yeah, we got to start plugging at the end of every podcast. By the way, go follow us on Instagram. Go subscribe on YouTube. All
at the Red
that
Zone Pod on everything.
jazz. Well, Instagram, it's at the underscore red zone pod, but same thing.
Anyway, um, yeah, rankings are stupid. When are they? College football playoff rankings should be coming soon. I think that's a Tuesday thing, or at least like a week 8 or week 9 thing. Which means I think they're gonna come out like kind of while we're recording this episode. Because if I'm not mistaken, they come out on Tuesdays, and they come out
At
at
like
like
8 p.m.
7, I think.
Oh,
So I
so
remember
they come
seeing
out
them when
like
they
an
would
hour
come out during
before.
band practice.
So they come out like an hour
When?
before.
Okay, hold on. Take lead for a second. I want to see when the rankings come out.
Um. Oh, okay. I don't know what else I'm supposed to talk about because if we're like, that's what we were talking about was when are these coming out? But if you're just going to find it out, what am I supposed to talk about?
Talk
I
about
have
your
three
love.
Dr. Pepper ads on my screen right now. Um,
What?
that's not a lie. Like literally,
Is this
yep.
our new like
Bow time.
bodacious?
Bodacious.
First play
We haven't said
edition
that at
will
all this year.
the first edition is Tuesday, November 5th, released at 7 to 8 p.m. EST. So that's November 5th. What week is that? That's uh 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 uh
It's
week 11.
very loud. Okay.
Do
We'll
we want
actually
to talk
get there
about
in episodes.
games?
The
Is it
games.
time?
Do you want to go first?
No. Make your opening point.
Okay.
So, okay,
Don't
so for the
interrupt me.
eagle-eyed viewers, not eagle-eyed viewers, Riley and I have not disagreed on something since this podcast has released. I think more than what we disagree with how this game went, or not how the game went, but how we look at the game, which means we could be here for another 30
Well, because
minutes
I'm about to
arguing
say,
about
like,
this.
Nate doesn't believe I'm taking a very chill approach because Nate doesn't believe that I'm like legitimately like he doesn't believe in my actual attitude towards
I
the game.
think
He
deep
thinks I'm like,
down you're coping.
but I mean, like, what do you mean by coping? Because I'm like, yeah, I'm like accepting the game for what it is, but I'm
I
like,
just think
I don't know.
you're trying to hide over the fact that this was a game South Carolina should have won, and they
I'm not.
didn't.
That's literally what I'm about to talk about.
Okay, well, speak and I'll
Yeah.
speak.
No. Okay. So like I'm gonna say like I'm not gonna say I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed. But I'm not like disappointed because we lost. I'm disappointed because we like almost won. Cause so like um just because like going into the weekend I didn't expect anything like whatsoever. I thought we were about to get crushed. Even like the like Alabama was supposed to win by 21 points. We were supposed to get crushed. And so that's what kind of like makes it sting a little. But then again, like if you have four turnovers in a game like South Carolina did, you don't deserve to win. Um, and
You guys
like,
had four turn. Oh, I guess yeah, three fumbles and an interception.
yeah, if you have four turnovers in a game, you don't deserve a win, obviously. But like, it still ended up being really close. We played surprisingly a lot better than I thought we would, and then y'all played a lot worse than I thought you would. Um, I don't understand all the people hating on Sellers for this game. He made two pretty bad mistakes and he fumbled the ball and it was not good. But like in between the mistakes and in between those, he had actually a very decent game. Like out through Trey Milrow, he has a like he was fine. One interception, threw for two touchdowns. He has like a good running game. I mean, like in between the mistakes, we had a good offense. It's just like we kept making silly mistakes that we shouldn't have made. I mean, our defense always kind of carries, but then like we had that one offensive run that was like literally perfect to start off the second half. It took 9 minutes off the clock and it was perfect play run straight down the field for a touchdown. It was great. But I think it's just like we can't I mean it has been like a historically thing that we do is that like it's like like Bama didn't win, South Carolina lost. And it's like, yeah, we seem to be doing that a lot recently. Which is probably the most like disappointing part about this. Um, like I don't know. We just gotta stop making mistakes. It's like because I get maybe it's the pressure or something, but like it's just ridiculous that like we make the mistakes like that when you're that close to something that it's like you lost by 2 points when no one was expecting I wasn't expecting a win, no one was expecting a win, and then you kind of like lost by 2 points that like you lost yourself, which is the thing that sucks the most. So like that's my piece is just like yeah, we made the mistakes and yeah, they're terrible and yeah, they suck and it like stings. But then it's like in between the mistakes, we played decently. Honestly, if we keep playing well and like fix like just work on these dumb like fumbles and the dumb like the overthrowing people on the 2 point attempt, if we just like keep a level head, I mean, if we keep a level head, we're gonna be okay. But honestly, it I thought this weekend was about to be like a bloodbath. I literally told like texted Nate about it. Like me and my dad were joking about like we were gonna watch a horror movie. So I don't know. The only thing I was going to say is like I'm not gonna say I don't care because I do. Like my voice still sounds a little crappy because I was screaming on Saturday. But like, I don't know. I care less than I thought I did because it's like, I mean, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that one, which sucks. But I mean, we played better than I thought we would. So I don't know. That's what I have to say about it.
Okay. Yeah. I think this was a bad performance from Bama. Um, just sloppy. Like we're really lucky we were playing South Carolina. And I know that sounds kind of bad, but it's because it is. It's because if South Carolina wasn't as bad as they were, we would have lost this game by 2 scores, which is a little frustrating because we can't get away with playing South Carolina every week. So, like, obviously, we play at Tennessee next week. If we play like this, we're going to get blown out. And I just think it's a little frustrating because I would have thought they would have played better. Like, they needed that wake up call with the Vandy game. They ate the rat poison after UGA, and they still haven't recovered from the Vandy game. Same lack of discipline. South Carolina got way too many just free stuff from us being stupid, like flags everywhere kind of called on us. And I just South Carolina, I don't know. It was annoying. There was a few like roughing the passer call that was just stupid. Like it was the right call. It was just undisciplined. And yeah, right now I think it's just kind of it's a little frustrating because I know this team is good. They they that team that was in the first half against Georgia is still there. But the issue is they just haven't shown up since. It's been a sloppy 10 quarters of football since that second half of the Georgia game. And yeah, just annoying. Defense sucked. South Carolina scored 25 points, and it felt like it really should have been more. Um, just annoyingly, once again, third down efficiency was bad. They were 7 for 15, which is too much. Fourth down efficiency, they were 1 for 2, but that one was a 30-something yard touchdown pass with like right before the half, which just killed all momentum we had going. Um, they had more total yards than we did. They beat us in passing yards. They beat us in rushing yards. Um, we threw more interceptions than they did. I just think it's a bad performance. We should have lost. Thank Christ it was South Carolina. Thank God it was Lenora Sellers. Um, because if that was any decent team in the SEC, we would have lost that game by 2 scores. Um, and they need to
I'm not gonna
shape
take. I
they need
will
to
not.
shape up before the Tennessee game, or they are going to get their ass kicked.
I think it'd be really funny if y'all did.
I
I
wouldn't.
won't. I'm gonna say it again. I will not take Lenore Sellers hate because the rest of the game it
He's
was
not
fine.
that good.
He's
What is
not
he?
that bad.
He's just mid.
He's not
But
mid. He's a
yes, he
decent
is. No,
quarterback.
he's
He
not.
led in all the. Yeah, he
Oh,
is.
he led
He
in
has some
one
games.
game this year. He beat Jalen Milrow in passing yards.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Whatever,
I just
dude.
don't. Okay, I don't think that's a good way to. I don't know. I
I
just don't
mean,
think
I
so.
would say he did like I don't know. He did. He had a yeah. He made stupid mistakes. Like the last two plays that did. First of all, the one that cost us the 2 points in the first place in the 2 point conversion. He overthrew him. That was bad. He fumbled like twice. Those were terrible. The rest of his game was fine. Like genuinely, he's fine. Like I'm gonna speaking from someone who's like critiqued all of the quarterbacks we've had. Freaking Jake Bentley, Spencer Rattler, those quarterbacks, I would say I would 100% be like, yeah, thank God they suck. That would be 100%. But
Would
Lenore
you take
Sellers,
would you take Lenore Sellers over Spencer Rattler?
yeah,
What? Spencer
yeah.
Rattler's a much better quarterback than Sellers is. He Rattler's issue is that he didn't have an offensive line,
Neither does Sellers.
but Sellers has more of an offensive line than Rattler did.
Our offensive line is are like downfall. I don't know what is going on in like the last like 3 seasons that no one's been like, hey, maybe we should work on that. But like, I don't know what the heck's going on with them. It's That's the most frustrating thing to me is how like every quarterback or like both these past couple seasons with Rattler and Sellers, like they don't have time. And it's like, can y'all just like let them do their job, please? All those like things that I see, they're the cringiest videos on Instagram. But you know the videos of like those linemen who are like, my jersey looks like this, and it's like torn up and it's like covered in grass stains so that his can look like this, and their quarterback is like pristine. I'm like, none of these linemen can say that because none of them have put in the work to actually protect the quarterback. I see them run through their line immediately. I'm like, you aren't even doing anything. You're not even like touching another person on the defensive line. What are you doing? So our
Yeah.
offensive line is bad.
I texted Riley after the game and I was like, or not after, it was during the game. I was like, if Bama wins, we're both gonna come away from this game pissed off, which
Yeah.
kind of ended up happening. Because I'm disappointed in how they played this week. Like South Carolina has a good defense, but it's not that good. Like it's not as good as reducing us to only 27 points and causing 2 interceptions. Okay, which by the way, one
I
of the
mean,
interceptions that
obvious.
I saw
I mean, yeah, you
was
guys are playing sloppy, but then like the defense did do that. So like,
the defense isn't the main reason we played sloppy though, which is what I'm trying to
okay.
say. Like it contributed to it, but it wasn't the main reason. Like there was one interception, it was the one in the back of the end zone. That was a good interception. But that was also a bad throw from Milrow. But like it was still it was like a good interception. It was just
That
like a
throw was gonna
he
go right to him, bro.
it was well, I mean, obviously it wasn't that great of a throw if it got picked off.
Cause he was like,
Because he threw into
okay.
double
I thought it was,
coverage. That was my thing. Is Milrow still needs to figure out when to not throw the football,
yeah.
and
Well, I don't know
like
who the
his
receiver
his
was on that one, but he did not see
his
the
reads aren't
coming
as
to
great
intercept
as I
the
would have
ball.
wanted them to be. Because he kind of threw that straight into double coverage, which like of course South Carolina is going to pick it if it goes into double coverage.
When was it
Um,
literally like there was like one drive that Bama had where like literally we sacked Milrow like 2 or 3 times
it was
in a
right
row.
before half.
And I was like, what is going on?
Our offensive line's not great. Like you talk about the South Carolina offensive line being bad, the Bama offensive line is doing Milrow no favors this year. Like
There's
there's times where
always
he's just been running for his damn life.
That's literally how Sellers got freaking injured because of that. And then like the game after he came back injured, I was like, it's so clearly he doesn't trust his offensive line, and it's like he shouldn't do that. Y'all need to do your job. There's one person in the offensive line who I will not call out directly, but it's always the same freaking side that they always run through and the same player that they run just directly past. And I'm like, I watch it every time. I'm like, every time someone breaks through, it's always on you. Do your job, please. Anyways, that's yeah. I feel like that's
I
the tagline for this game. Do your
yeah,
job,
for
please.
both sides.
Yeah, do your job, please.
I'm very scared for next week. Um,
I'm less scared.
yeah, Oklahoma got walloped.
Well, I'm also like, I mean, I did say I already said that we played better than I expected us to this game. So I'm like, I'm assuming that I know that Beamer was not happy with this week. So I know he's probably
I wouldn't be
laying into
either.
them. I know
Both
he's
teams
laying
played
into
bad.
them like yeah, you had your moments, but then we can't make mistakes like that to cost a game. You can't be like losing a game off of mistakes. I mean, like obviously my dad has said this before as well. He was like, 4 turnovers, you don't deserve to win. Of course you don't. But like we didn't get destroyed.
You know what's weird? I think neither team deserved to win. Like if there's ties, that was a tie. Because South Carolina had 4 turnovers. Bama had
Yeah.
two, but Bama played pretty sloppy, but so did South Carolina. So it was like it was a tie, if not the edge being to South Carolina. Which once
See,
again,
okay.
thank God it wasn't a good team, or we would have lost by 2 scores.
What I was gonna say is we preface this by saying like, oh, we're gonna like this is our first like disagreement and whatever. And I
We are
was
agreeing a decent amount.
well because I was right because you thought that I was gonna be over here like trying to like save face and coddle and not act butthurt. But I was right. I'm telling you, like, that's not how I feel. I genuinely, like, I don't know. I feel very chill about it.
I'm chill about it, but like a little annoyed. I think is my
That's
general
fair.
like. I just think it was not what I wanted to see. But also, in 2015, we won the national championship, lost to Ole Miss in a game we should have won, and then only beat Arkansas by one, and then we proceeded to win the national championship that year. It was that, or it was the year after when we like made the national championship or something like that. So like this has happened to teams before. So I will see. Maybe they just have an issue where they play down to competition and then they play up to competition. We'll see on Saturday, the Tennessee game. Um, but
My
yeah.
dad also, this is my dad's argument. I would just like to say that. My dad also
Mhm.
did want me to bring up how we beat y'all in 2010. And then after that, there was not like a single apparently challenging team on your schedule for the next like 10 years.
Like for Alabama,
Yeah, that's what my dad told me to
like there
tell you.
wasn't a challenging team on our schedule for 10 years.
I guess not. I don't know.
What? What is he talking about?
I don't know. I don't remember what he said, but he
What
was
is
like,
he
tell me.
talking about? I
I
love
don't
your
know.
dad,
He
but that
was
is
like,
a
yeah, I don't remember.
atrocious
Hey,
take.
I could be also like
Okay, 2011. I'm
botching
pretty
his
sure we
words.
started that season. No, okay, 2010 was the season we started at Penn State. Okay, no, no, no,
2010
no,
was when
no.
we beat y'all at
Yes, I remember
in
that we had
Tuscaloosa.
three losses that year. But
And then we
2011,
never
we won the national
we
championship, and
never
we
played y'all
lost.
again.
We played LSU that year, and we lost to them. So that's a good opponent. We also played like Texas A&M in 2012 was a good opponent. Georgia was a good opponent in the SEC championship game. Auburn got blown out that year. We played Michigan in the first game of the year that year.
You hate Michigan. You hate on
I do
Michigan
hate
constantly.
Michigan, but they were good in 2012. I think they were decent. They were ranked when we played them.
I don't exactly remember what his actual take is. Maybe I'll
I hope
text
it's
him,
not that. I hope
ask
it's
him.
not that, because that's a. I don't.
I'll text him right now. What were you saying?
This is so professional. Anyway, other games that went on. I think we've beat this dead horse. I thought we were going to argue more, but it was just kind of both of us complaining about our teams,
Well, because
which
you
is
like were saying like, "Oh, I don't believe this for a second. You're coping so hard." I'm like,
okay.
"I'm
I
not."
said that, but I also didn't agree with the text you sent me when you
That text is
when
how I feel. That's what I just
I
said to
don't
you.
agree with it. I don't agree with the words you said that that's not the right way because okay, your direct text erm. Let me be super professional here. If you were good, I don't think is the right term, not gonna lie, because you were supposed to beat us by 21 points, and this was supposed to be your comeback. Which those two things aren't like those two things are mutually exclusive. Like yes, it was supposed to be our comeback, but both can be true. Like Bama, it was our comeback game. We should have played better. But also, if South Carolina was good, they win. Like both
Yeah.
are true, which is what I was trying to say. Because
I was also
both
just like, this was also
both of those
directly
are
after
true.
the game where I was like, what the hell just happened?
I would have been pissed if I was a South Carolina fan. I would have been apoplectic that I didn't win that game. But
I was
with
annoyed.
between all the BS that went your guys' way, like that stupid toe touch touchdown and the onside kick that you guys
Okay,
recovered.
that touchdown was in, dude.
Yeah, it
You
was
could not
in, but it
tell
was
me it was.
stupid that you
Okay.
even got in the first place. And then all of the stupid BS, like Milrow not knowing how to read like the defense.
Okay, I will say,
And
you said this last week about Malachi Moore. That man is a poor sport.
what did he do this week?
This week they called a pass interference on him, but they should have tacked on like a unsportsmanlike conduct because the dude he like tackled and like did the like got the penalty against like was getting up and he pushed him down again. And I was like, what are you doing, bro?
Okay, but
So
everyone does that in college football.
I know, but
That's
it's like, dang. Oh, here we go. This is what I don't think he's right about this because you just said this. He said they didn't have to play a top East team for years after that. UGA.
that's not our fault. Also, we beat UGA in 2015 by 20 points. We
I
played
don't
UGA.
know.
Okay, okay. I'm assuming he's not talking about the SEC championship game.
Probably not. He's probably talking your regular season.
Okay, that's also BS. In 2014, we played Florida. In 2015, we played Georgia. In 2016, we played someone. Like, I think we played Missouri one time in
Hold
there
on.
when they were good.
We're
Yeah,
looking it up.
2013,
He just told me to look it up.
2012. We played Missouri when they were good. That I don't buy that. I'm
Same
sorry.
in reverse. Well, this is true that UGA gets the easy. He said, hold on. Same. Oh, no, that's not what I was asking. He said they didn't have to play a top East team for years after that. Pull up their schedules. And I said, UGA question mark because y'all played UGA. And he said same in reverse. UGA and Bama get the easiest schedules. I'm also assuming he's okay with me reading this.
Okay, I agree with the UGA thing, but like our schedules have been pretty hard for the last few years. Like we keep playing. Do
Don't
you
t-
want to?
don't come to me about hard schedules.
I'm not comparing it to South Carolina. Also, BS. You guys had one hard schedule and it was this year.
Last year, I'm pretty sure we had a
Last year, you
not
guys were
good
5-7.
because we are terrible, but our schedule wasn't good either.
No, because you guys are terrible. You guys didn't you just you lost to like a bad Clemson team. Clemens. Anyway,
Last year we played.
let's
Last
move
year we
on.
played number one UGA in week 3. That was terrible.
Huh?
That was when we played UGA in week
Also
3,
in
and then
2020, Bama
Tennessee,
played.
and then Missouri, and then Texas A&M, and
Okay,
then that
in
was yeah.
2020, Bama played Georgia at home, and that was still when it was the East. Okay, and then in 2021, we played Florida when they were ranked at
This isn't my
11th.
take. This is my dad.
And then in 2022, wait, who we playing in 2022? I don't know, but
Hold on. So maybe you guys in 2010.
2010 is when South Carolina beat Bama at home.
2011, y'all played. Who's in the SEC East?
Are you just looking at our schedules?
Yes, I am. I don't know. I want to
Are
see what he's talking about.
are we ever gonna move on to?
We should, because this isn't even my take that I'm proving right
This also
now.
isn't even like related to like anything we've been talking.
This is
Okay, in
also, I think, my
2012, our
dad.
East opponent was
We
Missouri.
want to talk about like salty fans. No offense to my father, but he is one.
Okay, so we played Missouri in 2012, and they ended up being that. Okay, they're not going to tell me how they were that year,
Where were they in the
but
East?
they were in the East that year. It was Missouri.
But like
With
where?
I
Where?
don't know. It doesn't show me, but I have a
Okay.
good. In 2023, we played Kentucky, which I will take. They suck. 2014 was Florida, who were pretty good. 2015 was at Georgia when they were ranked in the top 10 and they were a higher rank than we were. 2016 was Kentucky again, so I'll give that to him again. But also, like, with Bama having tough schedules, do you want to hear this run of form Bama had? At number 16 Arkansas, at number 9 Tennessee, at home against number 6 to A&M, at number 13 LSU. And then we ended the season with at home against number 13 Auburn, and then at home, and then playing an SEC championship game against number 15 Florida
What were
before
y'all
playing
that
in the
year?
college football playoffs. Huh?
What were y'all?
Like in the rankings,
Yeah.
we were 1 the whole year because we were undefeated. 2017 was Vanderbilt, which, yeah. 2018 was Missouri again. 2019, whatever. This is a stupid argument. And 2019 was South Carolina. Anyway, let's talk about the games. We spent too much time on other things.
Maybe it's not that stupid. Anyway. Yeah. Friday.
Yikes,
Utah
Utah.
is. Oh yeah, did we say that Utah's out of the rankings because Utah lost to Arizona State on Friday?
My dad, bless his heart, has had his take age more poorly than I think any other take in podcast history. Because I think since my dad came on this podcast, Utah's 1-2.
It's okay.
Which, by the way, who's winning the Big 12?
Nobody.
It's Kansas State, I think. I think it's going to be Kansas State. Oh no, it's gonna be Iowa State's undefeated and ranked ninth in the country. We didn't even talk about that. And you know what's
Oh,
crazy?
I
I've
forgot that
watched.
BYU is still undefeated.
It's good. You know what's the Big 12 championship this game year? The Big 12 championship game this year is going to be BYU versus Iowa State, and that's going to be for an auto bid to the playoffs.
Jesus.
Um,
Some of these
yeah,
mascots I forget are the mascots.
like the Arizona State Sun Devils.
TCU Horned Frogs.
Okay, but their frog is cool. Anyway, Arizona State played well. I didn't watch a lot of this because it was the Friday night game, and I was tired because I'd been driving around Georgia the whole day, going to see all my friends. So tough, Utah. Come back to play next year. Obviously, Bama, South Carolina. Texas beat Oklahoma 34-3 in the All-State Red River rivalry.
Good Lord.
Um, this looked good for about a quarter for Oklahoma, and then it all went sideways when they realized they didn't have a quarterback.
And then they didn't
Um,
score
and
another
then they didn't
point.
score another point. Yeah,
This
tough.
is also like, well, now I'm like, for us playing Oklahoma, I'm like, they're not that great.
I
However,
would,
they will
I would
probably be
say
off of a fresh loss. So,
if
like,
South Carolina loses to Oklahoma, that's bad, given how both of
yeah,
the teams played last week. Like Oklahoma,
I think we
because the
even,
thing is, Oklahoma almost lost to Auburn.
what are our, what are our odds in that game? Hold up.
Okay, while you look at that, I'm going to keep going. I mean, it was, yeah, kind of destructive. Texas is easily the best team in the country, deserving of being number one. They're probably going to win the SEC. Um, oh, okay, yeah. They're probably going to win the SEC, and yeah. Next, Oregon, Ohio State, a game that, thank God, lived up to the billing. What a game! This was an incredible game of football. Like, just so much fun. Like prime time, bags of hammers, back and forth and back and forth. No
Bags
team
of
ever had a
hammers.
lead. No team ever had a lead of more than like 8 points. I think was the largest lead of the game. And yeah, Oregon's pretty good. Oregon's pretty good,
They
which is
are.
kind of insane given the beginning of the year when they struggled against Idaho and almost lost to Boise State. But Dylan Gabriel, I think this was easily his best game of the season. Um,
He had a very solid game.
I think that their running, but Jordan James played really well. 23 carries, 115 yards, a touchdown. Um, Once again, I mean, obviously the receiving core is out of this world. They have one of the best in the country. Um, Jeremiah,
One could say it was a pretty bodacious game. He's not there anymore, but
now he's just throwing interceptions in the NFL. Which you hate to see. Really, really hate to see that. Really, really hate to see an Auburn player doing bad in the NFL, especially that Auburn player. Anyway, great game. Game of the week for me. I was thoroughly entertained. Um, Also, one more thing. Ryan Day really has an issue with winning these big games. Did you see the stat that he's 2-6 against AP top 5 ranked opponents as Ohio State's head coach?
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Do I pose this question to you? What
What's
do
the
we do if
question?
Ohio State flames out in the playoffs this year?
What do we do?
What
We get
okay,
to talk about it.
what does Ohio State do if they flame out, lose in the playoffs early? Say for instance they're like a first round exit because I don't think they're going to win the Big 10 because a conference loss puts them now 5th, which, top of the Big 10. Your Indiana Hoosiers. Um, but given that I think we're only going to have one conference loss and it's going to be Ohio State, um, and also, I mean, you have teams like Penn State, Oregon contending at the top. Like, Big Ten is going to cannibalize itself. But, like, if they don't win the Big Ten, or say, for instance, they make the Big Ten championship game and then lose, and then they'll probably still make the playoffs if they have 2 losses, and then they lose in the first round to someone, what do you do with Ryan Day? Because It's an inability for him to win the big game, which has kind of been their problem. Their like Ryan Day's problems ever since he got to Ohio State.
How long has he been there?
Since Urban retired, so I think 2019.
I don't know if you'd fire him. That's like, I don't know. That's kind of long enough
If they
where
lose to
it's
Michigan, they're
like,
gonna fire him into the sun.
because that's like 5 seasons of like, what's going on?
You you know you know right that if they lose to Michigan, he's getting fired into the sun.
Probably.
That would have been
Because
four straight
Michigan's like,
years they lost to Michigan. I think
and Michigan's, well, I mean,
Michigan
as
sucks
Nate
this
has
year.
made very clear,
Michigan's
Michigan is
really
not
bad. As I say,
unremarkable.
as I'm wearing Michigan colors in my sweater
It
today.
looks orange. Low key, it looks like you're wearing Auburn
Look,
colors.
it's Norfolk Academy colors.
Norfolk Academy.
That's where my dad taught when I was born,
Very cool.
and they had the same colors as Auburn. Um, yeah, I don't know what you do with Ryan Day if Ohio State fails to do anything again this year. Um, also, did you
What do
see
you
the
think
final
he should
play of
do
this
with him?
game? Oh,
Like what?
I think
Like
I think
what?
if
Okay,
they
okay. What do you do if like you beat Michigan, but then you get out in the first round of playoffs?
I think you put him on the hot seat for next year,
That's fair.
or you fire him if you're feeling confident that you can find a replacement. But like, can't I wouldn't hire internally if I fired him because I'm pretty sure they hired internally for Day. Like I'm pretty sure he was one of their coordinators. I don't know. I think it's tough because like obviously it's kind of hard to fire a coach when you like make the playoffs every year or like you make a New Year's Six game. But like
Well, I mean, if you're not doing as well as you want to as a franchise, to
I
expect
think this is kind of similar to Mark Richt where it was like Richt always got Georgia decent seasons, like 9, 10 win seasons. And obviously, it's kind of hard to fire someone when you're winning 9 to 10 games a year. But the issue with Richt is he could never win the big one. Like they lost to Bama in 2012 in a game they probably should have won. And they never really got close to that summit that we're seeing them reach now with Kirby. And it's kind of like obviously Kirby has better players than Richt did, but Richt didn't have any slouches. Like 2012, I will forever stand by the fact that that Bama Georgia game, the SEC championship game, was effectively the national championship because both of those teams would have beat Notre Dame that year. So I don't know. I don't know what you do with Day if this is another quote unquote unsuccessful season for Ohio State. Um, maybe you fire if they lose to Michigan, they need to fire him. There's no way you can afford to like. I mean, okay, they probably won't fire him, but like losing to this Michigan team, and that'll be at home this year because last year was in the Big House, I think. Um, that would be rough. It's been 3 years in a trot on the trot for Michigan. Um, if they make it four, he might get fired. Anyway, uh, also the last play of the game was really funny. If you watched, did you watch it? When Will Howard kind of just ran and slid
Oh,
inbounds.
no, I did see that. That was
Yeah, that was
bad.
bad.
That was terrible.
Next game, God, we're going to talk about all these games. Penn State beats USC in overtime, 33-30, showcasing some
Really
of the worst.
moved up.
They did move up, which is fine given Ohio State lost. Um, they really shouldn't have won this game. They got bailed out by USC's atrocious clock management at the end of this game. Lincoln Riley, this experiment has failed. I don't know how. I don't think he's a very good coach. Um, but good job, Penn State. I guess it'll be interesting to see how they play against Ohio State 2 weeks from now. Um, oh,
Oh, well.
did you see Penn State's leading wide receiver Tyler Warren had 17 catches for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns?
2 touchdowns. This is
Or was
one.
it one? One touchdown, my bad.
But
Which
yes, I did see that.
insane stat line. And
Good
also,
for
I thought he
him.
was a fullback.
No.
No. Do you have anything to say about this game?
No, that's a nice stats for you. I just don't. I don't know. I know. I don't understand the AP poll, and I never will. Anyways,
I mean, okay, I think it's fine for them to go up one. Would
what
you
did
have
they
just
go up
switched
on?
Ohio State and Oregon?
Would I've like? What do you mean? Like
Like,
Oregon
would you?
not be
Okay,
number
would if
two?
your top four have been Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State?
Probably because I don't
I
know.
agree with that.
Because I'm like, I mean, Ohio State, yeah, they lost, but then like Ohio State lost in a close game. Penn State won in a close game, but then like not in a game that like should have been as close as Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that is a very fair way to look at it. Um, Next, do we want to smoke on that UGA pack for a second week in a row? Because
You about to freaking obliterate the
the
poor dog
dog.
again?
No, I won't do
Poor
that. I won't
dog.
do that dog dirty.
It's not the dog's fault.
What I will do dirty is the UGA defense,
That's
which has
fair.
regressed mightily in the past few seasons.
Downfall.
I didn't watch any of this game. Um,
I
the
was
few plays I
monitoring the
did.
score and I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's come increasingly like this season more often than any other seasons thus far. I've like looked at a UGA game and been like, that's closer than I thought it would be.
Auburn, Mississippi State.
And then when Bama was crushing them, I was like, gee, like because
They looked
that
like
game
a
was supposed to be like
they
exciting
look
all the way through, and then it was
yeah.
only exciting at the end. And I was like,
They
what are
looked like a
y'all
glorified
doing?
high school team in the first half of that Bama game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
don't know.
Georgia's deal, bro.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know what to think about Georgia this year.
Because it's like y'all are. I guess you're good, but
Okay,
then like,
I
what's
I think
what's?
I think I have an answer to our question. We'll know what to think about Georgia this week with the Texas game because that's a
That's
tough
fair.
one for them at Texas. If
At
they
tech, at the number one team in the country is
at probably the definitive best team in the country at the moment.
one of the only people who has a guaranteed spot in the playoffs.
Because I would say like Oregon even looked shaky. Texas hasn't looked shaky the whole year. They've
No,
beat
they're
every
fine.
team put in front of them. Um, so what I will say is I think it comes down to this Texas game. If Georgia plays well, we'll know that they're kind of like an Alabama team, where maybe they play down to competition, play up to competition. If they get blown out by Texas, I would start ringing alarm bells because that means they're going to have two losses, which they probably will still make the playoffs with two losses, but
They will. They're Georgia. People want them in the playoffs.
good point. But, I mean, what do you do if a team like Indiana goes, okay, let's use Indiana as an example. Who do you take? 11-1 Indiana or 10-2 Georgia?
I mean, I would take 11-1 Indiana, but
Because,
like
okay, our wins
people
will
put
be,
they put Georgia in the playoffs every year. They're gonna put Georgia either way.
our wins would have been at that point Washington, Michigan, Nebraska, and then potentially the Big Ten championship game. Which I don't know if we'll make that. So that's three quality wins. Georgia doesn't really have a quality. Actually, I don't know if you count Washington as a quality win. We're kind
They
of
don't have a they don't have a quality win because they have a cupcake schedule.
they play Ole Miss,
Besides Alabama and
Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss,
well the
but
Ole
like
Miss and do
and
we count
Tennessee.
Tennessee?
So they play three hard teams for the rest of the season. Which like okay, that's bad because Georgia can kind of only afford to lose one of those games.
They can
And
only afford to lose to Texas, really,
yeah, I think if they lose to either
because
Ole
they're
Miss or
ranked.
Tennessee, that's
Yeah,
bad.
because they're ranked above Ole Miss and Tennessee, so they should be better than them. But like, if they lose to Ole Miss or Tennessee, or God forbid both,
Florida,
then they're
or
like they're screwed.
God forbid they lose to
Florida,
Texas and then they lose to Florida.
that'd be terrible. That's like you
I
shouldn't
could
be
see Georgia with
ranked.
three losses. I mean, obviously
Um,
Tennessee is coming off of a loss that felt like a win that felt like a loss, and Ole Miss lost to LSU. But like, I mean, do you think Ole Miss could beat? I think either of those teams could beat Georgia if they keep playing the way like they've played this year.
I mean, yeah, Georgia's again.
But
I don't know where they stand. It's weird.
it's kind of yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's weird because it's like let's Georgia's offense is good. They're
But
scoring
they're
points.
slow.
They're slow starting. That's been the issue. Okay,
I mean,
so
Carson Beck has some greats, like 459 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like he's good,
but
but then it's
read
like
the
you
other
have to
part of that
get
stat line.
going.
Read
Yeah,
the other part of that
interceptions.
stat line. Two
Oh, you're
interceptions.
messing. Good Lord.
That's the thing. Is with every good that happens with Georgia, there's a downside to it. Like, oh yeah, Carson
Yeah,
Beck
that's
throws for all these yards, but two interceptions. That was the thing with the Bama game. Is
yeah,
Beck played atrocious in the first half, but when Beck turned it on in the second half,
horrible.
he was on, and then he throws that back-breaking interception at the end of the game. So okay,
Yeah.
let's
It's
let's
really I don't know what you're supposed to do with
let's
that.
throw this question out. What do you think Georgia finishes with in the regular season?
Let's see. Hold up. Let me pull up their schedule again.
I'm gonna
I
say 10 and
say
2
10-2.
because I don't think they're dropping two games on the rest of their schedule. Like, God forbid they lose to both Ole Miss and Tennessee, or they lose to Florida, which
Honestly, I can see them. I'm gonna go 9-3 because I think they're gonna lose against Texas. That's my take.
I
That'll
think I think
probably
they're I think they're gonna lose to
bite
Texas
me in
too.
the ass
If they lose,
because
if they don't, yeah, if they beat Texas,
if they beat Texas, then we have to eat our I don't know eat our
if they
words.
beat
But like
Texas, there's not a contender this year.
if they beat Texas, what the hell is going on?
If
Because you
they
can't play
beat
like crap against every other people and start slow against people who aren't the number one team in the country, and then you go and beat the number one team in the country at home.
if
In conclu-
if they beat Texas, I legitimately don't know who like the contending team is this year.
then no one has because I
It's
just said
Indiana.
Texas is the only person like with a guaranteed spot in the playoffs this year. But if Georgia beats them, that's not
They still
true
have a guarantee.
anymore.
They still have a. I still think
They have a pretty
Texas.
mostly guaranteed, but then it's like, what is going on? It's a whole, it's
This
weird.
I will say this year of college football is fun because I have no clue who's good outside of Texas, and that could even
Legitimately,
change.
you know what I was
Legitimately, that
thinking
could
about?
change next week as well. I think it's
This is
Texas and
kind
Oregon.
of the same energy as like, was it March Madness this past season where there was no
Yeah.
perfect bracket whatsoever
Well, okay,
and
that there
everything
hasn't been a
was lit?
perfect bracket in like ever. Like I don't think
Oh,
there's
I
ever
know.
been a perfect bracket in the history of March Madness.
There have been some, but then there's like, no,
Nope.
because like this was the one that like all brackets busted in like by like the second round or something. But this was like the one that was like, oh my God,
No one has ever picked a verified perfect NCAA men's bracket.
verified. Men's. What about women's?
Probably the same. But also it's probably easier with women's because their tournament was only like 30 teams for a bit. So
Yeah. But I would say like the like margins for women's teams is the ones that are like good are like extremely good.
that's the thing with
And they
with
kind of
like
like so like the
women's March
first couple
Madness.
rounds is you like barely you pretty much know who's gonna win, but then like it gets into the really exciting
I
stuff.
skip the first two rounds. I skip rounds 1 and 2 of the women's tournament because
But that wasn't true this year. So like
the Sweet 16 onwards with the women's tournament is always like a blast, but it's like women's
yeah.
basketball is so top loaded where it's like you have like 20 good teams and then it's everyone
But
else.
then when they play each other, it's like the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, like it's fun, but it's you
Like
have to
women's
get there.
basketball is where South Carolina fans can feel joy.
Speaking of
Um,
women's basketball and men's basketball, by the way, do you know there's only two teams to have, I think, it's either two or three teams, I think, to have men's basketball, women's basketball, and college football team ranked in the top 25.
wow, I wonder who it is.
Alabama, Iowa State, and Indiana.
Wow.
Because our women's basketball team is ranked 25th.
Are women's for Indiana?
Indiana's 25th. 25th in women's, 17th in men's, 16th in football. Okay. You guys
We're
should.
not gonna win.
I was rooting for Iowa.
Were you actually?
Yeah, I like Caitlin
That's
Clark.
lame.
She's the greatest women's basketball player to ever touch a basketball.
She is. She's done so much for the sport
And
as well, and
also,
she's
okay,
done so
also
much for the WNBA.
she plays
But
like Steph Curry, who is like my favorite player of all time.
She's great at what she does. I find it
She's a
so
baller.
I find it so funny the amount of like insecure men who think that they could beat her in like any sort of game of basketball. I'm like, are you for real right now? I was like,
She
are
is
you
better.
serious?
She is better than 99% of human beings in the world at basketball. And the other
Yeah,
1% is like the professional WNBA and NBA players. Like
yeah,
those
it's
are the only
crazy.
players that like she is. And honestly, I
Although
would put
I'm not
her
my
I
favorite
would
WNBA player is Aisha Wilson though,
my favorite, yeah. My favorite WNBA player is
or Leah Boston.
probably Caitlin. It's either Caitlin Clark or Sabrina Ionescu because they both play a lot like Steph Curry, and I'm Steph Curry's my favorite basketball player of all time. So, but Asia Wilson is she's a dog. She is so good. Like she was easily the best
There's a
player. And
statue on her of her on campus.
also, are we gonna?
Talk about
I hate
football
to be
again.
that guy. I think it's been an hour or so, and we've talked about four ranked games.
Has it actually?
All
Oh
right, next
no.
Florida, Tennessee. What the
Oh,
hell, Tennessee? How do you do what Alabama did, but worse somehow? How do you play worse than us against a team that was worse than South Carolina? Tennessee, by the way, Tennessee is lucky to win this game. They got bailed out by the fact that that Florida's quarterback got injured and they couldn't do anything on offense after that. Graham Mertz. My dad, by the way, quote of the weekend when he said, Mertz sounds like a thing a very nice Midwesterner would say when he was upset. He's like, oh,
I would agree with
Mertz.
that. Oh, Mertz.
Like, I could see
I'm
a
gonna start saying
Wisconsinite
that.
doing that when he, like, spills his beer.
That's the new catchphrase of the pod is just
Oh,
Mertz.
Mertz.
Oh, Mertz.
Do we want to talk about this game any more than just,
Florida,
like,
Tennessee.
yeah, other than just Tennessee needs
I
to
feel
do
like we
better?
need to keep going
We're going to beat our longest
because I
podcast,
feel like
aren't we?
there's like ones we want to talk
Oh, and
about
I still
more.
have to submit this tonight and like, put this on a YouTube and it's gonna take
We can
okay.
upload the YouTube tomorrow morning.
No, I can't have sleep
Why?
because the pod is the most important thing to me. The podcast is the most important thing to me. This podcast is growth. You don't understand, Riley. You you don't. What are you doing?
Listen to yourself.
You don't understand.
Ah! It's like you're
You
doing
don't understand
ASMR,
what it.
ASMR, and I don't like it. Stop. This is terrible. You need to keep that to
Welcome,
yourself.
welcome back to podcast ASMR. Today we're talking about how we're talking about how the Ugga dog is still inbred, and
Ah!
that's gonna show
feel
up
like
awful
we
on the podcast when I listen to the audio. I'm skipping straight to this point. Do you hear how awful that sounds? Okay. Anyway, bless
that
you.
was terrible.
Ole Miss LSU next in another incredible game. Um, I'm so good. Ole Miss led for you want to take a guess, Riley, at how long LSU led this football game?
Literally the last quarter.
0 minutes and 0 seconds. They didn't. They weren't in the lead until the last play of the game. Um, bad from Ole Miss. 5-2 kind of just means they need to win out to make the playoffs, which is a damn shame
Did
given
they
that they
do their dirty
invested two
little
million, $20 million into this. Yes, they did, by
did
the
they?
way,
Okay, cool.
and they kept bringing it up.
Frustrating.
Like poor Sean McDonough, who's by the way a great announcer, had to like hide his disgust at the fact that Ole Miss kept doing their
One
like
of my
player
friends was
injury
talking
thing.
about one of my friends last week, not last week, I guess whenever 2 weeks ago we played Ole Miss, was talking about how we should just do like um they should like do like a limit to how many injury timeouts you can have and make the game but go by faster, make
But
the
then you
actual like
can't justify doing that unless, like, in case, like, an actual, like, someone, like, randomly in a game, like, there's, like, 6 major injuries to a team. But
who
Ole Miss
knows.
knows that, which is why they abuse it, which is frustrating.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
frustrating. They
that
gotta
sucks
find a
for
way to
Ole
police
Miss.
it somehow.
Ole Miss just, they weren't as tough as LSU. Like, that was a gritty win from LSU. Vaults them in the top 10. Ole Miss now needs to win out for any hope in the playoffs. They will not make it as a 3-win team, 3-loss team. Um, and yeah, it was a great game. Ended at like midnight.
And this
Anyway,
next one be who cares?
you can say it, Riley.
Clemson beat Wake Forest 49-14. Who cares?
They're winning
Thank
the
you.
ACC this year.
I don't like
They're going
them
to be
so
one of the
much.
top 4 teams in the country.
Stop. It makes me
Stanf-
sad.
Notre Dame beats Stanford 49-7. Who cares?
And then they went down. They went down in the rankings for that. They went
Lol.
down for winning.
Iowa State beat West Virginia 28-16. This is not a who cares game because good job, Iowa State. Look at you. 6-0, top of the Big 12, top 10 ranked team in the country.
Look
I
at
haven't watched a
that.
damn second of any of their games this year, outside of El Asico earlier this year.
Do y'all
And they
play them
didn't
this
even
year?
they did not look that good. No, we do not. They're in the Big 12 and we're in the Big 10.
Jesus, yeah. I carry on.
Um, BYU beat Arizona 41-19. Good job, Mormons. I hope you enjoy your chocolate milk. We are definitely heading towards a BYU versus Iowa State Big 12 championship game for one of the top 4 spots in the playoffs, which is funny. Then Boise State beat Hawaii 28-7. Ashton Genty alert. He had 31 carries for 217 yards and a touchdown. Also, are you good with me just rapid firing through these so we can end this?
No, yeah, we need to go.
Okay. Kansas State beat Colorado 31-28. Ha 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 ha.
Sucks,
Eat pants,
Colorado.
Colorado. Suck it.
Shiloh Sanders said this was the worst game of his life.
See, that's not
Um,
true because I see that every week from Shiloh.
damn. This is why he's last?
This is why
Anyway,
he's last. It's because he sucks. That's why he's last.
that's so sad.
Dion
Can you imagine
hates him.
each week you get in the
Dion hates
weeds?
his kid.
Each week
Dion,
you get in the weeds because your dad has you last in his child rankings, and then you just keep doing worse.
Dion sees Shiloh and is like, "You disappointment."
It's
He's
so
like,
sad.
"Why did I even have you?"
He's like, only one of you is named after me. That's why you're number one.
He's the one that doesn't even play football.
And he's number one.
He hates Shadur and Shiloh.
Shadur's third.
That's
I
fine,
think.
but it's out of 6, so he's just the middle child. Dion doesn't care about him enough to put him in the top half, but doesn't care about him enough to put him in the bottom half. So he's
He
just
like
kind of
doesn't.
there.
Oh, this is so sad.
You know what's insane?
Oh,
I bet Travis Hunter would be number 2 on that list.
do that
Anyway,
last time.
do you want to? Who cares? This next one.
He only has 5 kids. So
So
Shadur's in the bottom half.
Shadur is Shadur is just the middle. 2 below, 2 above.
Straight up and oh
Straight up, just the middle.
dang, that's rough. Anyway,
Anyway, you want to? Who cares? The next one.
Missouri, Massachusetts. Who cares?
Can I just say that it's a little funny Missouri had to play an away game at UMass?
Yes,
Okay.
you can say that.
Pitt beat California in a kind of fun game. This was I didn't watch any of it.
They're 0 for 3 in the ACC now.
They are, which is a damn shame after starting the year 3-0. And then Purdue and Illinois. What the hell? Real fun here. Illinois wins
moved up for this.
50-49 in overtime against arguably the worst team in the Big Ten.
And this is another reason why they ate people. I will never understand it. But whatever.
See, okay, hold on. This is how my sweater looks yellow.
Very nice.
It's because
Very
I'm
nice.
alt-tabbed on
Michigan.
the ESPN.
So just stay there, and then you won't look like you're an Auburn fan. Oh, never mind. Michigan, Auburn, Michigan,
This is gonna
Auburn.
be awesome for our audio listeners.
Oh God. We've upgraded now. We've moved on, guys. Just watch it on
Okay,
YouTube.
and that was week 7. Do we want to preview week 8?
Sure thing.
Big
Oh
games.
yeah, we talked about what South Carolina's odds are next week. 34 to 65 for Oklahoma. But
That's not
last
that
week
bad.
we had like a 5% chance of winning. So,
Um,
eh,
Big games. Nebraska at Indiana. Big noon Saturday is going to be there, and I can't go to it because I have a math midterm on a Saturday.
which is terrible. I'm terribly sorry.
Big noon
Um,
Saturday is coming to Indiana, and I can't go to it.
well, college game day game came here, and instead I woke up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to not go see them, to get in uniform and march around. So, not to say I do very much enjoy that, but I was like, that would have been cool to see college game day, but it's okay. Um, Alabama at Tennessee.
Oh,
I
Jesus Christ.
I'm interested in that one.
I'm scared. Miami
Y'all are
at
still
Louisville.
projected to win, but just by 3, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I would be
Miami
scared as
at
well.
Louisville is pretty fun. Michigan at Illinois could be decent. LSU at Arkansas has the opportunity to be a little chaotic. And then Georgia at
Georgia at
Texas
Texas.
is the big one. Who do you, and obviously we said our predictions for the Georgia game.
Texas.
Texas. So
It's also a hope. It's not just a prediction, it's a hope.
it's a hope.
Not a hope. It's a hope because I'm like, I do hate. Not hate. Hate is a strong word, ladies and gentlemen. I do
What are you, a
dislike
teacher?
Georgia fan. Yes. My mother is a teacher. It's
Shout out your mom.
Thank you. She was the one who texted me that Ryan Reynolds is hotter. And I said, no.
That's why we're hiding your mom.
I don't know.
Why'd you say no when I said, do I know them?
Oh, sorry. You do know
Do
her.
I not know your mom anymore?
You do. She misses you. In
I
fact,
miss
she was like,
her.
initially she
Not
was,
in
I was
that
like,
way.
oh yeah, Nate is what does that even mean? And I was like, yeah, Nate's fall break, he's like this week he's gonna come home. And like this is before I was coming home. And she was like, well, let him know that if he ever has free time, we're down the street.
And you didn't let me know?
Well,
You
I
never
also let
told
you know
me
that I
that.
was in town, and I was like, if you want to like hang out or say hi, and you were like, I don't have time.
I didn't have time.
No, I
I
understand.
spent my whole weekend doing things back home.
So am I. I'm going to a farm. I'm chaperoning. Speaking of my mom, I'm chaperoning her class
Are you
on
gonna
a field
vote?
trip. I am gonna vote. I'm voting.
I
I'm
have to
chaperoning
wait
her
for my
class.
absentee
Absentee
ballot.
ballot. I'm voting. I'm getting a haircut finally. No one in this can know because I have a hat on and I will not take it off.
Who are you
Um,
voting for and why? Don't answer that.
well, so who do you think I'm
Don't
voting
answer.
for?
Don't answer it. We
I'm
need.
not gonna vote. I'm not answering.
That was parodying a Pat McAfee clip I saw this week.
Oh, he asked someone who they're voting for.
AJ, you know his co-host AJ Hawk, the one who's on the train. He asked JJ Watt. Well, JJ Watt was like, "Do you guys have any more questions?" And AJ Hawk just went, "Who are you voting for and why?" And Pat McAfee's like, "All right, let's move on."
Let's move on. Um.
Um,
Anyways,
this
vote, guys.
episode is
It's
finally
important. Do
done.
your
Oh,
civic duty.
red zone gauge. Let me get the phone
What did we
out.
say? Did we say we were gonna put it at a 9.75 to put it above?
Week 7. Week 7 comes in at a 9 point. No, okay. Week 6 was just a 9. We can put it at 9.5, everyone.
Okay.
So now our rankings are week 2, followed by week 7 and week 6. We're on a good stretch right now.
And I would agree with those rankings. I mean, we made them, so of course
I would agree that
but...
this number that I came up with. So yeah.
Good stuff.
I have nothing else to say. This is
These
going
episodes
to
get
be a
more
long
fun.
episode.
They just
Hmm?
get more fun, guys.
I know. Next week will be fun. Depending on what happens in the Alabama game, if they lose to Tennessee,
Um,
I will cry the whole episode.
it's okay. What was I about to say? Oh, week pause. One moment. Week 13. I will be in New York City. So we'll see how week 13 goes, but it's just
That's
a heads
rivalry
up.
week, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's the week before.
Oh,
No, week 14. I'm sorry.
yeah, rivalry week.
Yeah, the week before rivalry week
Oh, you
because
poor
we're
soul. You're gonna miss rivalry week.
no.
Or I guess you're not gonna be
So
able to talk about it as
Thanksgiving is
much.
November 28th. Week 14 is November 25th to December 1st. Um, so I will be in New York because the band, you should watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade because Carolina band will be there, and that's why we'll be in New York. But
And you
then we
might be
go
able to see Riley
straight
on
from New
screen.
York. You actually very much will. I'm right in the front. But we will be going straight from New York to Greenville, South Carolina on
For
Friday
South
to,
Carolina versus Clemson.
yep, I'm scared, but it's okay. I get to go to my first Tiger Burn this year. Everything is breezy. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Yes. I don't know what that means.
There are also 3 games live right now.
That doesn't count. That's next week. We can't talk about next week's
I
games.
know it's technically next week, but it is today. Anyways, um, good
Next week
stuff.
is today, and today is next week.
See, this is why I was getting confused. And I was like, last week? No, not last week, but
The
the week before that week.
Illuminati is real and all that. Just kidding. That was a joke. I don't believe that.
Okay. Well, it's been a great week.
What a fun episode.
Good times.
Well, we'll catch you next time. As always, I've been Nate Cohen,
I'm Riley Davis.
and that was the Red Zone Podcast. Alabama beat South Carolina.